Hello everyone and welcome to Miami Vice the game, which is probably based on the movie. I don't know because I haven't watched the movie or the television show. We're gonna play as Crockett.
Assume the position!
Yo, Tubbs!
What's up?
That was Castillo. You remember Freddie Louise?
Front-time Freddy?
Hey!
Used to be a confidential informant for the department, till he double-crossed us and went over the street to do his snitching for the feds.
Not anymore. He's in trouble with some new business partners. Something to do with half a ton of their weed going missing. He doesn't want the feds to know about it, so that leaves us. Castillo wants us to get over to his place to see what the situation is.
I want to speak to Castillo. You put me on all that game, bitch. Shit! Your guys, they better get here fast!
You might think the lighting is a bit excessive, but I think it fits well with the atmosphere. So the reason I'm playing this, and why I'll be playing it until it's finished very quickly, is because my game capture device is broken, so I can't record anything else really. But that's okay, this game's alright. This is a third-person shooter, and to say it's cover-based would be an understatement. You do pretty much all the shooting in cover. I'm pretty sure you're never intended to leave cover while shooting, except to find more cover. You can only fire after you take aim, and when you take aim you have to stand still. Because of course on the PSP there's not a second stick for your camera, so you do have to aim while standing still. You can kill every enemy by one-shotting them in the face, pretty much. The problem is the hit detection on this can be really weird. You can get good at it, though. I'm not gonna say I'm good at it, but you can get good at it, and I was good at it at one time in my life. You can take cover on or behind any solid object. There's not like specific objects to take cover behind. Every solid object can be cover. He does adjust his position depending on what the geometry is, though. Which is good, because if he didn't, that would be terrible. These guys only have a few lines, and they're all copy-pasted. They don't even have any different weapons in the first level. So if this seems like it would get boring, well, it doesn't really, because the level design mixes things up, and there are new enemies with new guns later. But there's another reason that it won't get boring, and we'll get to that after we take cover. There are collectibles, which we can see down here in the menu. We can see them all over the map. The best collectible is drugs, or weed. The drugs are weed. We knocked over this statue so we could use it as cover, and yeah, you can knock over certain things in the environment to use them as special cover. You can even vault over them. You can also only reload while you're taking cover for some reason. They could have relegated that to its own button, I think, but whatever. Our health bar is up there in the upper right, and we can take quite a few bullets on normal mode. I wouldn't suggest playing on any of the harder difficulties, though. The amount of shots we can take is significantly less depending on how close our enemies are to us, because of course guns do more damage the closer you are. Our sight on our gun also starts to shake the further away enemies are from us, but you can learn to counter that with your own movements. It's not too hard. This is a really nice house, and regardless of whether I was in business with some shady people, I would probably hire people to protect it for me. But Freddy seemed to be here all by himself. I mean, I guess these gangsters could have already killed Freddy's protection, but hopefully his protection would have better guns. I mean, we're just one guy and we seem to be doing fine. Again, I know nothing about Miami Vice, so I don't know if in the Miami Vice canon there is a reason that Freddy does not have anyone protecting his mansion. You can usually sneak up on this guy and take a headshot before he even notices you, but the thing is that I alerted him by running because stealth is a thing in this game. It's not a prominent thing, but it's a thing. Enemies hear you if you shoot or run, and there are security cameras capable of detecting you and summoning more enemies. Not in this place, though. Apparently Freddy doesn't have any security cameras either, which is weird. We just picked up a first aid there, and 20x weed. We got 20 weeds. All the drug icons on our map, those are weeds. Those are 20 weeds each. I don't know how much weed is in a weed. I don't know very much about weed, but I was under the assumption that you didn't measure it in weeds. But that's how the game does it. So up here we can see a downside to every object being cover. Sometimes your character doesn't know what he's doing. Like right here, even though we're taking cover, our head pops right out. Also right here you might be able to see my sight shaking as I aim on these guys far away. But like I said, it's easy to get around that. Sometimes you get around that by spamming the fire button. Depends on who you are. Depends on who you are. I've not tried to get in the pool. I was afraid it would kill me and I would have to restart from a checkpoint. And the checkpoints can be generous, but oftentimes they are not. So you can already see this game's not bad by any stretch of the imagination. It's playable, it's kind of fun. There's nothing really absolutely disgustingly wrong with it. Unless you hate the lighting that much. But I mean, honestly, when you're trying to pick out crime drama games to play, crime drama third-person shooters, the genre isn't exactly fantastic. So this is especially good. Because if you were an individual who only played crime drama third-person shooters, you might hate yourself. They have to be licensed too. They can't be things like Dead to Rights or True Crime. They have to be things like Shield the Game. Stuff like that is what you would be playing. So I'm not saying I'm a person who has interest in playing Shield the Game or anything like that. Out of sheer masochistic curiosity. No, not me, but some people might. And this game might be a breath of fresh air for them. We just used a submachine gun. And we don't want to use that too much because although it is powerful and kills enemies quickly, it does decrease our reputation. Sometimes weed is hidden in objects, like in this flower pot, which is not a very good hiding place. We can see the location of all of the weed on our map, but that's going to be an important mechanic later that we'll discuss when we get to it. Had to take cover there because, again, I can't reload unless I'm in cover. Also, some of these doors aren't real doors. Just for reference, the reload button is the same button as the sprint button. So that's why this is a problem. I don't like this room very much because I have a hard time finding a good position to take everyone out. We could do it from way down here, but those guys are way far away. And PSP games have a tiny screen, man. Or maybe it's just tiny for me. Maybe I just have problems. But either way, it's an issue. The bad guys in this game only have a few lines, and it doesn't seem to matter which bad guys they are. They all say the same things. That is an amazing skylight up there. This room is amazing. I would sleep in this room. That water fountain probably costs a lot to keep running, but I would use it. I would swim in it. So, standing out in the open in any circumstance and firing is usually a bad idea. But of course there's a lot of first aid in this first level, so it's not that big a problem. This is basically the tutorial after all. We don't even get to trade drugs yet. Speaking of drugs, I did miss one over here. We're going to be buying all of the information for all of the levels. But that doesn't necessarily mean we're going to be 100%ing the game. Because although I will try to get every weeds, I cannot guarantee that I will get every weeds. We actually had the upper hand. We were being stealthy until we used our mind powers to see inside that pot and found there was weed in it, so we busted it open, thus blowing our cover. So you might not have been paying attention and you didn't notice that you could vault over certain objects, but that's okay because the game teaches you so right here. There's weed behind this counter, and we need to vault to reach it. This is one of the best rooms. We can't break the projector, unfortunately, but we do get a lot of free headshots because we have the upper ground. And the enemies will attempt to take cover behind these chairs, but that's not very good cover. Also, you may have noticed some enemies will run straight out of cover and stand in the open for no reason. I guess to make them easier to shoot for you. The movie on display doesn't look very entertaining, but it is a movie inside of a PSP game, so maybe they're limited to still images. I don't mean that maybe the hardware is limited, I mean maybe in-universe, because it's a PSP game, the characters can only watch movies of still images. Oh, I'm not sure if you noticed, but the characters do all have ragdoll physics, which I was surprised by. I wouldn't think that would be a priority when making a third-person shooter on a portable system, but they're here. And when we get the shotgun, they'll be pretty funny. Oh, just thought of another one, Miami... what was it called? Bad Boys Miami Takedown or something. That one. Go play that. Have a good time with that. Honestly, I like that game a lot. It is very bad. But I think it's aware that it is awful. I think it's definitely aware of that. I really wanted to take cover specifically behind this, so I could show you the lighting blurs your shot. That's the only reason. It took a lot of bullets doing it, but we have plenty of first aid too, so... Also, the last weed is in this room. Or weeds, I should say. So we will 100% this level. Miami Takedown had boss fights too, and they were pretty hilarious boss fights. Man, I want to play that now. No, stay focused. Playing a better game right now. Play your crappy games later. Maybe when I get a new game capture, I will eventually let's play that game, because I do own it. So that'll be fun, right? That'll be fun for everyone.
Wait! I just remember! My cousin! He got the stuff! I call him for you! Detective Crockett! Detective Tubbs! Good to see you again, hermanos!
Welcome back to the Miami PD snitch payroll, Freddy.
Displays, Hopper Autos. That's where all the merchandise they got gets shipped through before it hits the streets. You want? I could ask around, find out when the next shipment is due.
So now it is time for the open world aspects of Miami Vice. There's so much we can do. First, let's go to Freddy. Freddy is where we buy information for new levels, like how we can shut down the security, the enemy placement, collectibles, first aid, and the weeds. Because we need the weeds. Freddy only charges 1 weed per information here, but his price does go up slightly every time. We can also trade our weed with drug dealers. Now there is a whole market here in play. The prices go up and down in various percents depending on your actions, depending on what you buy and sell. Like, this guy sells meth, and none of the other drug dealers sell meth. So if we buy that and wait for the prices to go up, we can sell it back for a lot more. But let's get to that later. Let's take some more weed, because we don't have quite enough money for the unlockable I want. Now, we could play smart and actually deal with the market, but we won't. Right now, we're going to play a minigame. Those flash rams we get, which that's not a thing, no one says flash ram. But those flash rams we get contain minigames. And if we beat the minigames, we unlock upgrades or other special things. I think the minigames are actually kind of well designed. I know a lot of people don't like having to play minigames to unlock things, but I really don't mind, as long as the minigames are doable. We have to hold in our power and let it go when it's at full so we can create an enormous shockwave that breaks these cubes. And the data inside the cubes is what we're looking for. In the second phase, the cubes shoot upward, and if any of their shots hit us, we lose some of our data. It's really easy to avoid their shots here, though, because again, they only shoot upward. If we shoot their shots explode and can potentially damage them. That'll come into play in a second. Not right now, though. In Phase 3, we need to blow up the enemy's shots so they make a trail way back to the enemy and blow them both up at the same time. This is really the only way to successfully do this phase, otherwise it takes way too long. And only 2 enemies spawn at a time. So you either do this or you run out of time. I mean, when you pick up a flash drive, this is how you hack it, right? This is what you do. This is how it works. So yeah, these minigames are unobtrusive, and they're all optional, so they're not a big deal. We do need one of the flash rams, though, because it unlocks something important. Not something that you need to complete the game, but something very, very important. It's drug-related. Speaking of drugs, we finally hacked the flash ram, and we get shotgun upgrades. I'm not sure how that works, but we're not going to be buying those shotgun upgrades this time. We have something more important. Should I, Yeah, I need a little bit more to buy what I want. So we're gonna buy a suit that gives us more reputation when we complete a mission. And we need the reputation for a very special purpose, which you'll see when we get there. But there is a very valid reason that we're not playing with the market. Even though that could be fun, if that's your definition of fun. So it's a choice between reputation or health, and of course we're going to take the reputation over our health. I mean, who doesn't do that? Before we get any further, we should save real quick. And then we'll see about the next mission before we end the video.
The dope's coming through a private airfield outside the city, but Freddy doesn't know which one. Find out what you can.